I'm back. I'm back from vacation. It was incredible. The ocean was cleansing. Learning about their cultures was incredible. Traveling around has been the most healing experience. I've never traveled in my life, never taken a vacation in my life. It was honestly something that was so needed, and now I understand. I understand. It's like the importance of expanding your brain and being able to connect to new people and new spaces. That's how we grow. That's how we grow. Um, and so, it was beautiful learning about the political aspect, the cultural aspect, everything, how things are, come up and beautiful. Just honestly, the whole experience was beautiful. I went to the Bahamas, um, stayed there for a while. It was just incredible. Um, the other thing I learned was, it's funny, it was like the ship was rocking. I was on a cruise. um, the ship was rocking so much, and throughout the process there was a lot I was shifting emotionally as well. It was like the ocean and I were kind of in sync, and a lot of what I was processing is about letting go, letting go of control, and just trusting that things are going to work out, just trusting that things are going to align. I think all of my life I've been in this fight mode. All my life I've been in this survival mode. And when things go different, that's when I grip really, really tight. But what I learned from the ocean and the ship is that you can still float even when things are rocky. And I learned to kind of let go just a little bit and embrace the rocking of the waves, embracing that. And it was funny because there were moments, like for example, the first flight we had was chaotic. We get there late, first off. But we were technically on time, but we were late to getting to our terminal because one of the machines broke down, and time was ticking and it broke down and we couldn't get there. Then I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna let go. I'm not gonna pull for a bunch of cards right now on my phone. I'm just gonna let go and trust that we're getting there because I'm going on the cruise, I'm going on the vacation, I'm just trusting that. And despite the fact that the machine broke down for about 20-30 minutes, I'm telling you, it really killed our time. Okay. um, we end up getting moved out faster. We were in a TSA line that was crazy. I mean, just stupid long. And then we were just sitting there, and the time for the plane to take off had hit. And I was like, I'm going on this cruise. I'm leaving today. So I'm just saying here, like, I'm going in the cruise. There's no problem. So I did this. It was so different because you could tell I'd grown so much. Because normally I'm like, man, like nothing works out, everything, I just start spiraling. But instead, I chose a different energy. I was like, you know what? I have all of these tools here. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to do some meditation. I'm just going to clear it out. And then I'm going to speak with my guides while I'm standing here in this line. Might as well. And I found myself just speaking with them. And they were like, you're so silly. Like, it's going to be okay. And so I was like, okay, well, there's nothing to worry about then. And so I just chose joy in that moment. I was like, you know what? If there's nothing to worry about, then I'm going to have a good time. So we get there, right by the hairs of our tinny tin tins, because they had held the doors for us, which was wild. They're like, we were wondering where you were and all these other things. And I was like, wow, that's insane, because that's what I had visualized in that meditation. I'd visualized seeing a couple of people and being told, oh, the doors were held for you. No worries. Come onto the plane. And that's what I was visualizing. I was sending a lot of Reiki into that future. And I just felt it. I felt the joy in my body. I felt the freedom in my body. I felt the relief in my body. And that was kind of how I manifest, right? And it worked. The exact same thing that I visualized happened. We got on the plane. We're like, whew, boy, that was insane. The same, sort of a similar thing happened on our way home at the flight. And if sometimes spirit just wants to make sure you land the lesson a few times. And that time, because everything else on the cruise, like anytime there was a moment, I just remembered just to let go. We'll float. We'll be there. It'll be there. Because I know every time I move toward my joy, toward my alignment, things work out when I'm just operating with abundance. And it was such a big deal for me because I've really never taken a vacation in my life. We grew up poor. We grew up not really having a lot of food to eat. So during the summertime, I was going to summer school because that was food. And that's what it was. And even in college, I never took a time off in my life. Um, so, I think I'd started kind of working professionally in the theater industry when I was like 17, 16, 17, I think. So I had been working crazy hours for a very, very long time. And so it was nice to just take this time off and really choose myself. And that's an interesting part of my Saturn return, I think, where um, my rest is being prioritized in a different way. My trust in what I do is being prioritized in a different way. My practices are really being embodied. And it's funny because I did that little manifestation bingo at the beginning of the year. And I said, okay, I want to embody the words that I speak. I want to embody the words that I practice. I want to embody the words that I read. And so this year I've been really embodying rest. I've been embodying relaxation. I've been embodying ease. And just choosing to be less involved in things, choosing to be more present for my body, choosing to say, "Ooh, my body needs rest today," and you know, choosing joy as I move. I choose joy. I remember, get back onto joy, move with joy. I have a little bit of a sinus infection right now. Anyway, um, I yeah, the whole trip was incredible. It was super hot, but I like Bahama heat better than Texas heat, so that's good. Let's see. I also set the intention of coming back to TikTok with more of an authenticity of who I am. I think, and some of you were here for this, there was a whole year where I couldn't pay my rent. It was the worst year ever, 0 out of 10. Um, and it was life circumstance. It was literally just one thing after another. There was this like bank shut down and all of my like business funds. It was insane, right? The whole year was insane. Anyway, and there was a lot that I shifted through because it was a very public financial breakdown, very public. And when you're in the theater world, everything is kind of small. And so it's just one of those things that, everybody knows Jay had that rough year. Cool, whatever. Y'all came through. Literally, y'all came through, saved my life. Um, and I think there's been so much trauma that I processed since then. And I think after that point, I decided, let me just stop sharing who I am. Let me stop because I was so embarrassed by how hard things were in that time. I think it really just made me feel like I couldn't share anything. And I realized there's such a pressure when it comes to TikTok of like only having a deck of cards and being like, this is all that I'm good for. This is all that you want to see. It's just me with cards. Um, and I remembered, this is my space. This is my space. 10:10 on my clock. We're done with that story. And I no longer have to be in that story anymore. Um, and I'm not really ashamed. I have scars. I have emotional wounds. I have all these things. And something about social media makes you want to hide them all because there's such a pressure of business and virality and being seen and all of those things that it makes you feel afraid to really show yourself. And so I want to reset this space with y'all. That's why I decided the first video back, I would just share a little bit. But I think I'm going to set the intention in my videos right now to be more authentic, to expand beyond just tarot, to go live and do readings that I really care for. I know that there are certain videos that y'all want to see, and I'll still do them, but I think I want to do readings that I do for myself, you know. So I think I like conversations with spirit rather than advice from spirit. That's kind of the energy that I like. So I would love to just be more authentic with you. And if you don't know, hi, I'm Jay. I'm non-binary, very fluid with how I express my gender. Or you can call me Raven Spirit. Both are my names. That's my indigenous name. Both are my names. Book a reading with me if you want to. If you want, or don't. Come to my live. Support my content. Whatever you do. But hi, this is me. And I would love to really meet you.